We're at the Hut8 mining facility here in Medicine Hat, Alberta. Largest in Canada, massive facility.
So what is Hut8? Hut8 provides investors with direct exposure to Bitcoin without having to go and buy the underlying currency. So when Hut8 was created, we really wanted to create something that allowed people to get that direct exposure to Bitcoin through the ownership in this company, which is public. So you can call up your broker, whether you're at BMO, Scotiabank, RBC, wherever it is, and you can say, I'd like to own some Hut8, and we trade on the Toronto Venture Exchange. We also trade in the US under the symbol HUTMF. To date, we have mined over 3,300 Bitcoin. We've been in operations now for still less than a year. We started mining December 22nd of 2017. So in a very short period of time, we have mined 3,300 plus Bitcoin. To put that in perspective, Bitcoin is currently at about 9,000 Canadian, so that's close to over $30 million Canadian that we've mined in a very short period of time. And that's also despite the fact that the majority of our operations have really gone up in July. So our other mantra is that we try and retain as much of the Bitcoin that we mine as possible. We have a long-term view that's very optimistic as to where Bitcoin price is going. And so again, to provide that exposure to investors in Bitcoin, we want to retain as much of it as we can. We do have to convert some on occasion in order to pay for our costs. Things like electricity and salaries are denominated in fiat, non-Bitcoin. If the City of Medicine Hat wants to take Bitcoin for the electricity that we consume here, that's also talk to me, and we'd be happy to facilitate that. So this is our asset base. We started last year at the end of December. After we closed our first round of financing, we have 17 block boxes in Drumheller, and those boxes consume about 1.1 megawatts each. And I'll talk to you a little bit about hash power, but that's how many quadrillion guesses at the cryptology puzzle we have per second. Back in July and then in August, building additional facilities, and facilities you guys are going to tour shortly. We have 56 boxes here in Medicine Hat. That's an electrical capacity of 67.2 megawatts and another 500 petahash per second. And you'll actually see today, I think everybody will be very interested when you walk through a facility, that actual computers are there, the mission control, where you can see the petahash per second that the boxes are doing. So hopefully they're all up and operating. We'll see that's right now in the 500 petahash per second range. So in total we have 631 petahash. The one thing I want to note, especially for local people, and there's been a little bit of a misconception in the city that Hut8 will continue mining if for whatever reason there was some electrical capacity issue with the city. So number one, the City of Medicine Hat produces a lot more electricity than the residents here require. And so what we're really buying is excess electricity. We do have under our contract that if for whatever reason the residents of the city required electricity, whether it be for anything, the priority will always be to the citizens of the city, not to Hut8. So I just think that's important because I hear that often. I was in a cab a couple of days ago here, and the cab driver was like, what happens if we need to heat our homes and everything? Will you guys continue mining? And I said, absolutely not. Priority will always be to the citizens of the city.
We ever had electrical, but the turbine you see in the background there, or that would be higher than us. Those turbines in the back, that's 6 megawatts, feeds into the grid, and because electrons love to go least resistance, most of them flow to us. So we have a component of green energy flowing into our site here.
What is revolutionary about this? If you go back to when 2008, 2009, when Bitcoin was actually developed, it was during the financial crisis. And the person or people that invented Bitcoin, it's actually not known. It's a mystery. It's a person who went by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who it is. They've never actually come forward. And they developed this brilliant idea, which is we don't need to rely on central banks or financial institutions to do transactions. Because today, if I'm sending Deepak something of value, there's usually a third party there. It's a bank or an institution. I send you something online, they go, they validate it, take their fee, and then it goes to Deepak. The idea was that not necessarily all financial institutions and central governments can be trusted, and you see this not necessarily in North America, but you see what's happening in Argentina right now, in places like Venezuela, where the inflation rate's probably close to 1,000% a year. These are troubled economies, and so a lot of that's coming because the governments here continue just to print money. Blockchain and Bitcoin really was made to solve some of this issue.
We have 10,000 80 servers running. We've been running very close to capacity all the time. Very successful. These boxes are 20 meters apart, which helps the venting. What we like about this site is we have a field beside us. We control 10 acres going this way, which the predominant wind comes from this direction, southwest, flows in, takes out the hot air, and vents our boxes. We like to keep our miners at a nice temperature. They're pretty warm. You'll see them when they're down there, but they like to be vented.
So for us, what we utilize is something called the Bitfury block box. And the block box is what you guys are all going to see today. We have 56 of them that you guys will see on the tour later and get a look inside. The Bitfury block box is considered one of the most powerful and cost-effective Bitcoin mining solutions in the world. And so we're very happy we have this affiliation with Bitfury as our strategic partner. So back to how the revenue is calculated. So we did a run rate here to see, based on current prices that are actually a little bit higher today, between now and the market the reward has, how much revenue is actually there to be created and won by miners. And if you do the math here, which is 144 blocks mined per day, which is a 12.5 Bitcoin, there's some transaction fees that you can produce, and I'll go into why there's transaction fees for anybody who wants to know. And at $6,500 price for Bitcoin, that means there's another $8.5 billion of potential revenue to be mined between now and June 2020. So that's what Hut8 does, is we're trying to get a piece of this revenue by mining the Bitcoin. So we validate the transactions, we make the blockchain safe, and in return we receive this reward for doing that, which is a payment in Bitcoin, which is what we store as part of Hut8.
What's good about Bitfury, we've got 100 people working for us now, so we've internalized that experience in Canada now. This is a made in Medicine Hat. All 40 employees live here. We brought that training out.
Excellent.
We bring people from Europe to train our electrical shop, which you'll see there. And that will make us be able to execute the next site even better.
And is that the plan, the other site beside us here kind of idea?
Well, that's a long dream. We've got a counselor out here for the city.
Yes, maybe.
I will tell you, that Unit 16 was designed, the switch house and everything, to put Unit 17 beside it.
Attaboy.
It's probably 2 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Okay.
But we're prepared to do that. We would gladly do that. Aurora is locating over there, the company. They're going to be another user that's going to get on. They're in construction currently, and there'll be an additional substation down.
And what we get from them is an exclusive Bitcoin mining solution that is available to only us in North America.
In Medicine Hat, is there enough power for everybody?
There is right now.
Okay.
So we started running June 13th with this first box that was lit. We had 16 boxes running by June 20th, all 56 running by August 8th. It's very
Speed. So it's been working all the time. We've been able to mine as many Bitcoins ever.
Yeah, well, we had 17 boxes of Drumheller operating as well, which was really our first foray into this, and this is our first build as Hut8.
So in the dead of winter, are there any heating requirements?
So what we do, those louvers that you see there will redirect the hot air. There's also skirts that are there. We can deflect the hot air to the cold air side, keep the miners warm. We also turn the fans down a little bit, about 80%, 70%, suck less air through.
So what are our competitive advantages? Why would anybody want to deal with us or invest with us? So the first thing is when we formed this company, we saw that there were a lot of different, I was an investment banker prior to joining Hut8, and we saw that there was a lot of different cryptocurrency mining companies that were coming to us. And the one thing that I remember noticing is a lot of them just didn't know what they were doing. They were ordering equipment from abroad, they were receiving it, they were like, we'll just build a data center. And I think that the level of understanding what it takes to actually build a sophisticated data center was very low. And so we saw a lot of people failing. We saw that they were not getting their chips delivered on time. We saw that they were getting old generation chips getting delivered. We said, how do we mitigate that? So we approached Bitfury, which is one of the largest blockchain companies in the world and a recognized leader in Bitcoin mining, and said, why don't you guys partner with us? And we can then take that risk that all the other miners in Canada and the US have been doing by trying to figure this stuff out by trial and error, and let's go to guys that have been doing this for the last 8 years. And they agreed, and we created this strategic partnership with them. We also said, you know, in order to make this partnership work, can we have an exclusive over your technology and the servicing that you do? And they agreed. And so they own 45% of Hut8. So Bitfury is the second largest manufacturer of the ASIC chip. The ASIC chip is the specific chip that's manufactured solely for Bitcoin mining. So this is a powerhouse in the industry. So not only are they miners, but they manufacture their own chip. And they've been doing that very successfully. So again, part of our advantage is we know we're going to get the most up-to-date, technologically advanced chips because our partner manufactures them. We also know that in terms of servicing, if you understand the relationship with Hut8 is all the different employees and everybody here in Medicine Hat are actually Bitfury employees. Why? We wanted to transfer the risk, the technology risk, over to the guys who are the experts. Rather than us going through the trial and error, trying to figure out how to do this stuff, we said, why don't we pay Bitfury a monthly fee? So we pay them $2,500 per month per box for them to oversee and manage the stuff, plus our costs, primarily electricity. So that's a huge advantage for us that we've eliminated the technology risk and the operation risk via Bitfury. Our other competitive advantage is currently we have operating capacity of just under 86 megawatts. That is huge. So that makes us the largest in Canada probably by at least 3 times. I have not seen anybody else that has gone out there in the space and actually secured a public long-term contract. And so one of the things here that makes this unique is that there were these 2 turbines that the City of Medicine Hat built and had a lot of excess power on reserve. And so by going in there, we're able to take that. The turbine you guys are about to see is 42 megawatts, and that's solely dedicated to Hut8. Now, why is this an advantage for the city? Well, they're using a lot of excess energy there that they weren't able to tap into before, and they're able to sell it to us. And number 2, we're also able to employ people. So the facility you guys are going to go to employs 40 full-time employees. There's shifts, there's 3 shifts a day, so you're not going to see 40 people there, but we employ 40 people full-time there. Sorry, you can go back. And we're also there under a 10-year electrical supply agreement and land lease agreement. So you'll see the facility is quite large. Our equipment is spread out over close to 11 acres, and we also have a right of first refusal for another 10 acres right behind that. So we have a very good relationship with the City of Medicine Hat. I know there's going to be a lot of people here. The mayor is going to be at the ribbon cutting a little bit later. So yeah, that's another good advantage. The last competitive advantage that we have is we're fully funded. A lot of other companies that go out there, and one of the reasons that Medicine Hat wanted to deal with us is we were able to show them our balance sheet and say, look, we have raised $108 million, and so when we tell you we're going to build here and that we're able to take and build around this, the Unit 16, the 42 megawatts, they can look at our statements, we're a public company, and they know that we're real. A lot of other companies are out there and they sort of promise a lot of dreams. We've actually been able to deliver on that. Just last week, we announced an expansion. We borrowed US $16 million from one of our strategic partners, Galaxy out of New York. They're a cryptocurrency investment bank, and we borrowed that capital in order to buy an additional 16 boxes from Bitfury that were stationed and that you'll see at our facility.
There, they have the Trans-Canada gas pipeline, goes right along here. This is an easement area between there and there. That feeds gas into that turbine and directly gas fires that turbine, which then generator, it comes directly to us. So we experience a power factor of 100%. Every electron that's generated out of there flows into us. We're similarly connected to that substation there, which is connected to the grid within Medicine Hat, and we draw power off the grid as well. And that creates redundancy, so if that unit 16 goes down, we don't go down because we can still pull from the grid. And plus, right now we're drawing from the grid and Unit 16 because we're at a higher capacity currently. They built that in November of 2017, completed it. It was to be for redundancy and backup power. It was operated about 18%, so it's brand new. They also have a spare turbine. They have a lot of redundancy within the system, and that's what we like. You know, we don't go down, we're always mining. We have fiber connected down to the road. We have a tower there if our fiber went down, and we have LTE. Again, always redundancy, so we can always isolate. Similarly, all these boxes you see here, there's a transformer in the center, 2 boxes connected to it, connected to a switchgear, cabling, and a bus to the switch house over there. We can isolate a box, a miner, a transformer, a row, If we have any issues, nothing is affected in the site. We want to keep running as much as possible.
So a little bit about Bitfury. As I mentioned, very large company. They have over 700 employees around the world. They are a juggernaut in the space. Jeffrey Mason, who's right here, is the head of Bitfury Canada. So if you have any questions with respect to that, he's right there. And Jeffrey was also instrumental in terms of founding this company and financing it, as well as in building the site. So he'll be conducting some of the tours later. So what is the block box? The block box is a 40-foot shipping container that's been custom built for us to house all of our chips. And you'll see them when we get out there. Each one consumes 1.2 megawatts of power. And within that, there's 180 servers in there and over 100,000 custom ASIC chips. These are very expensive pieces of hardware. They retail now for over $1 million each. So to put in perspective, there is 56 of them here that we purchased, and the installation, putting it together, it's been a very large investment for us in this city. If you were sort of calculate your investment, I think it's probably close to $140 million of capital that we have invested into this site.
So we can monitor everything that's taking place. We also can monitor every one of the boxes on the power control there. And as you know, we've got an arrangement with the city to at 63.2 megs. Sometimes you ask, how do we regulate that? So we work with the controllers at Unit 16, plus down at the river, the control center. They see that same control center, and then we communicate mainly through Viber, but other means to make sure, and we've got several contacts. They have several contacts. They always have a lot of backups. This screen here has multiple levels where we can see every miner, every hash board operating, both its temperature and how well it's hashing. We can sense whether they're having issues, and we go out and retrieve those hash boards or those servers, which you're going to see later. We take them to our repair shop, we repair them, put ones in play right away, repair them, and put them back out there, and we track that all through the process. We've trained everybody. What's really I'm proud of is it's all Medicine Hat people. There's 40 people. They learned it all, they operated it all. We went through a big fog, and they were able to go through that. We went through several tests with the city where we ramped up to full capacity, ramped down to 2 megs, because the city wanted to make sure they had confidence that we could react instantly to a power change. And that's one of the features about our data center. We can isolate a box, 2-box transformer, switch gear, the whole farm. So if Medicine Hat wants to curtail our power for other uses or whatever, or export, we can do that instantaneously, and we can do that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, a day, whatever, during peak loads. And during the summer, of course, Alberta experienced the hottest weather ever, 40 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And so we did quite a bit of curtailing, and this crew performed amazingly. Mark, Brian, all the crew that we have here. It was pretty amazing because not only were they'd just been learned, but they had to go through all these various, extreme conditions, and everybody passed with flying color.
Part of your risk assessment in your investor profile there, it mentions at the bottom there that you're exploring options with insurance as it's developing and policies are developing within the industry. How's that going?
So right now, with respect to like insuring our Bitcoin?
The Bitcoin and the facility and anything to developing new policies.
Jimmy can speak a little bit to the insurance, but we're fully covered at the site with respect to insurance. So like different disaster events, tornado or something, that's we're covered. With respect to insuring our Bitcoin, we have not found an economically viable solution for insuring the Bitcoin. So instead, what we've tried to focus in on is what is the best way to store it. And we currently use a company called Xapo, XAPO. They are the Fort Knox of Bitcoin storage. They have 3 facilities around the world. One is in Sweden, and the other 2 are top secret. And so there's this funny encryption thing that happens, but when they take it, they basically take our Bitcoin and move it offline so that it never touches the internet, and that way it is unhackable. So it is the best solution out there. And Sean, you've been to the facilities. It's in a former bunker, what is it, 40 feet underground?
It's an ex-military base. It's actually in Switzerland.
Switzerland, right.
Yeah, it's under armed guard, and it is, the Bitcoin itself is actually kept on a server that's never touched the internet. It's in a Faraday cage, inside of a bunker, inside of a mountain in Switzerland. So, very safe.
Yes. So it'd be very tough to access. I mean, the other two locations are top secret, but what happens in order to remove the Bitcoin, those three need to sort of communicate with each other outside the internet in order to take anything. So literally, it would have to be something out of a James Bond movie to get anything out of it.
You see, there's 10,079 sitting there. There's only one miner in the whole farm that's not operating right now. Out of 10,080 would be full. And traditionally, we can get that to 80. They'll go hunt it down. You'll see which one that is, and there's various screens. Why don't you just pull up one of the heat screens here?
You want to see temperature?
Yeah, temperature. Just run us a couple of screens to give you an idea.
I realize the containers are open.
Yeah, you see the dust in there too.
Yeah, we could see the dust in it. Doesn't matter.
Okay, the dust goes to the filter. I'm going to tour you through one of the boxes there later on. That airborne, whatever it is, dust or from the harvest, that gets caught in filters and doesn't go into the miner itself.
Okay.
But
You-
the dust
oh,
that's
It's like a hot
building up
pile on the
chips.
right side.
Okay, so the first aisle here is a cold corridor. The next aisle over is the hot. They emit together into the hot aisle, and the cold is on the outside because we want to take in the fresh air to start to cool the farm down.
Interesting, beautiful, airflow.
Yeah, so we can identify the boxes, we can scroll down, don't you go one layer down into the boxes and see the miners within there. So there's each one of the map, there's 180 servers in each one of there. They're numbered sequentially based on the container and then the particular box. We can identify their heat, low, high, average, see how they're performing. We can scale them down either automatically or override, or we can go and check there's a filter issue or there's some other issue. There's several things they're working on concurrently. We have 2 full-time electricians. They're on shift. Brian's one, Connor's another. Brian did work for the city. We did get him from you guys, but he had already retired somewhat. So, but Brian, and they were involved right from the start. One of the key ingredients that made us successful is we hired people early. During construction, they witnessed everything taking place. Then we went into operation, and it was very smooth.
So the management team, in putting the company together, and I was one of the co-founders. Sean Clark, who's over here, is one of the other co-founders of the company. When we were putting the company together, we wanted to make sure we were very deliberate in who we chose to be part of this company. So we chose people that had expertise not just in blockchain, but software, mining, investment banking, venture capital, and government. Why? Because I think in order to run a company like this, you really want to have tentacles in all different areas and get advice from all different parts, that not just blockchain or Bitcoin mining. So there's me, Jimmy, our CFO, who is sitting right there. So if you have any financial questions, he's right there. Mike Rowe, Vice President, he's there graciously helping me with the overhead here. And our board of directors, I'll touch upon some of the people here very quickly. Bill Tai is a legendary chip maker. He was employee number 1 at Taiwan Semiconductor. It's a very small company, about $500 billion in size. They manufacture Apple phones. You've never heard of those. He's now retired. He runs his own venture capital fund, and he is a shareholder and graciously agreed to be the chairman of this company. Mike Novogratz, you may have heard of. Mike Novogratz is at Galaxy. He is one of the best known proponents of blockchain and cryptocurrency. From New York. He used to run the Asian trading for Goldman Sachs. He was founder of Fortress, and now has Galaxy Digital, which is his own public company. Joe Flynn joined us recently. He was a CFO at Cisco. He comes to us because of his financial background. Dennis Mills. Dennis Mills was a parliamentarian here in Canada for 30 years. He's very well known in Ontario, and he knows government officials all across Canada. So for us, when it comes to getting introductions to different government people and understanding the lay of the land and dealing with people such as the City of Medicine Hat, we have an expert here, a guy who, he was friends with all the different prime ministers and is very well connected. Jerry St. Clair is from Vancouver. She's fantastic. She sits on a lot of different boards, including the TMX, TELUS, Ballard. These are boards she sat on, and she used to be the GM for Microsoft Canada. She was really the person that ran Microsoft Canada. And then we have Valerie Davilov. He was the founder, and he's the current CEO of Bitfury, our strategic partner. So again, it's a great mix. I'm also on the board, but it's a great mix of people from different facets of life, which is really what you want on a board. You don't want people who are just singularly focused on one thing, but can bring you different perspectives.
Parts to a warehouse. We hired 12 summer students or seasonal, plus additional people here, and we assembled all 10,080 servers in Redcliffe. So that was part of it. We peaked at around 55 employees. We had 80 construction people at the peak and 55 workers. These are the power supply units. There's about 30 amps in here, or 277 volts. 2 separate PSUs are fed in here. We can substitute them and take them out when we have spares. We go in right here. We can also repair them. And people you see sitting around here, Colin and Candace and Anita here, pardon me. We can repair all these things and we troubleshoot them. We've got the layouts for them. The power board, fans very critical. You'll see when we get in there, there's a series of fans across here. The motherboard, not sure why it's not called the pop board or the person board, but it's called the motherboard. Each one of these hash boards plugs into this board. This is a cooling fin, so the air goes across here. This particular board, which is a wafer, there's chips on here. There's 96 chips. These are the ASIC chips. We designed them, Bitbury. We have them manufactured in South Korea or Taiwan. There's rows of 12 times 6, 96 chips. And inside this circuitry or wafer board, there's all kinds of circuitry, specially designed, applicable, and we can repair. There's power chips, 12 power chips are here. We can take those out. We also have sensors on here to monitor the temperature.
And then that's actually the huge advantage to using the Bitfury equipment, because when we need to upgrade, we don't have to take the whole box and replace it. We just replace the chips on the motherboard and insert them back in and upgrade that way.
Just what's necessary.
Just what's necessary. Very little waste, and a lot
cool.
cheaper for us to upgrade relative to somebody that's got sort of a full facility where you got to literally the chip is buried inside the machine. You got to rip the whole thing out and throw it out.
Yeah. So that infrastructure out there is a very good point. This is all plug and play. So we can pull out elements of here and rekindle our site if we want to upgrade to version whatever. We can do that. But we're always looking at the economics where they are. These boards are performing very well. They're performing above spec. I can tell you that by a significant amount. And I think it's part because of the assembly. It's part how we designed the farm out there, 20 meters apart and the like. We also have some very standard devices that you see. Orange Pi, we're in the fruit business a bit. Orange Pi and Raspberry Pi. These are kind of logistics. They tell what's to go on within the server itself. So we can take apart any one of this. And all these people here never saw any of this equipment. When we interviewed, they probably asked. Des and I brought the box out. We said, take your hands, take a look in there. How do you feel? We're going to play with these boxes. And they've learned it all. We brought people from Europe to train them. And it's been a fantastic experience. This particular shop is our best shop throughout our facility. We have anti-static on the tables. We have gels in the seats. The desks are adjustable to height, so the ergonomics are best. And then we cycle our parts and equipment, which we store outside, in chillers, well organized. Colin's got it extremely organized, so that we flow the good to the bad as we repair them.
So just wrapping up again, we're listed on the TSXV. Again, the genesis of this company was always to take it public. We've tried to keep the share count very tight. If you look here, our options and warrants outstanding relative to the shares outstanding is very tight. Again, when we built this company, we didn't want this to be sort of a quick pump and dump type scheme. We're here for the long haul, and as such, we didn't want to sort of give out a whole bunch of cheap options and warrants to people. This number is actually a lot lower, but as part of the Galaxy deal, we granted them some warrants as part of the loan that we just did, about $2.2 million. And all the options in the warrants are convertible at $5. I looked this morning, we're trading at about $3.20. And so everything is at a premium. So again, there's not 5-cent stock floating around here. We tried to keep it very tight, and our shares are very scarce, very much like Bitcoin. I hope you guys got a better insight into what we do here, looking at the mission control and taking a tour inside the actual block boxes. We're going to just do a few things here before lunch. So the first thing I wanted to do was call up Mayor Ted Cluxton. Want to just say, as he's coming up, it's been a pleasure to work with him in the city. I think the things that he's been doing is quite visionary and forward-looking, and not just with cryptocurrency, but even in respect to the cannabis industry. So we've been really happy to work with him, and it's been a great working relationship so far. So thanks.
Just like to say thank you for that, and welcome to Medicine Hat. And of course, my council has been a part of this. you guys have done everything you said you were going to do. I remember when you first came to Medicine Hat and a bit fury. Who are these guys? What are they talking about? I mean, of course, we'd all heard about Bitcoin, but I had never heard of blockchain technology, and I've had to go on an exponential learning curve here. You came here, you said you're going to give back to the community. You did that. You're ahead of schedule. It's just a fantastic. The city's been in the power business for almost 110 years. Industry first came here because of cheap gas, and cheap electricity, and even 110 years later, we used to make pottery and clay, and now we're making ones and zeros, but still, it's just fantastic to see the economy diversify in this way, and we're just so thrilled to have you here in Medicine Hat, and congratulations, welcome, and on behalf of City Council, thank you very much.
As part of giving back to the community, we are donating scholarships for 20 underprivileged students. So I'd like to call up Wayne Rush from the Medicine Hat College just to say a couple words. So I think you can take this to the local bank and cash it, but here's a check for $20,000 for 20 students. And we hope to make this an annual thing that we do here with you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Medicine Hat College, we are thrilled to be at this event today. This is a huge honor for the college, for the region, for the city, to have an industry like this, and what it might mean to our students into the future. Just having a few conversations even this morning, some of the things that we might be looking at doing in the future with the students in relation to Hut8 are just, they're going to be incredible, and I think our students are really going to take some huge advantages from that. Partnering with Hut8 is a great example of how the community can come together to support future industry leaders. By providing this $20,000 pledge, it's going to allow students to focus on what they do best, which is academics, take some of the financial pressure off. When students succeed, we all succeed, and this is just truly an honor to be here, so thank you very much.
Yay! Woo! Congratulations!
Thank you.